Hey, everybody. Kevin Harned, Ryan Hoke with you. Good evening to you from the Wave Storm Tracking team. We are here tonight because we still have some snow falling across the area, and we'll be showing that to you. We've got a few slick spots developing in parts of southern Indiana, and then, of course, we just want to chat with you and see how you made it through the snow today. This was an easy one. I think everybody made it through today's snow pretty easy.
And it's nice when temperatures are above freezing.
Right?
That really helps the roads.
All day.
Yes. And it's been fine here in Louisville for the most part, minus some neighborhood streets. But those to our south who got the heaviest snow, they had some trouble this morning. Had some crashes down in parts of Nelson, Bullitt County, and no good. And
late breaking news just at the top of the hour.
We've changed our snow total for Louisville.
We haven't changed.
We haven't. But we collectively, as a weather community, somehow here have gone from 2.5 to 1.9 inches officially at the airport.
We lost a half an inch.
Yeah, not quite sure how that happened, but we just got that word from the National Weather Service in Louisville that they've made that adjustment there at the airport. So 1.9 was the total in Louisville today. There's your late breaking news.
The Weather Service works with the airport. You know, you have the ASOS station, which is the automated weather observation system that they have at all airports, at least most airports, certainly all the major airports in the country. And then they have weather observers, and they are the ones responsible for going out and measuring the snowfall and for that matter, witnessing any other type of anomalies that take place. And then they report that to the Weather Service. So it's two different entities that work together there. But that is where the official climate comes from for Louisville, is at the airport. So it's important to get it right. And the Weather Service was questioning that 2.5 total, likely after seeing Lexington's total was 2.3. And it was like, wait a minute.
That didn't make sense.
2.3, it should have been higher in Lexington.
Brian Good and I looked at each other in the weather office today when that came out. We were like, you sure about that? We'll see what happens with that. But sure enough, it was changed.
Yeah. So folks jumping in, we're going to roll through some of the data here with you. We have a lot to talk about, really, because, I mean, okay, we get one day past us with perfect snowman, snowball making weather, but the next several systems already lined up. Boy, it stays busy through the month of February here. And that's going to be the impressive part of what we show over the next 25, 30 minutes. So we'll end at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll roll you through this. You can see from our SkyTrack camera that we do have precipitation falling. Here in Louisville, it's been a mix of sleet, well, a little bit of ice, a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain at times. We mentioned the snow, 1.9 so far. That brings our season total to 16.9 inches. And that season normal, of course, we surpassed that almost with the first storm back in January. Our season normal to date would be, or for the season, would be 13.4 inches of snow. So the snow lovers are loving this season.
And we're not done yet. Not by a long stretch the way things look.
I mean, if next week plays out, the way the long range models show, it's like blow your mind, right? Some of you have had a chance to be out in the snow as well. This was from Bardstown, speaking of, which had, in some cases, near Bardstown, some of the higher snow totals, closer to 5 inches of snow there. Linda posting that. One more from our Facebook page, and this one from down near Lebanon. Georgetta Johnson sitting in that. Beautiful. That was another thing about the snow today. It stuck to everything. Wasn't it pretty?
Yeah, I even saw it on like vertical surfaces, like the fronts of vehicles, like the front grille, like super snow stuck. Amazing.
Yeah, and these were some of the totals that were reported. Of course, here in Louisville, 1.9. You had the higher total south of Lexington, 6-7 inches of snow. So our snowfall forecast wasn't all that far off.
No.
Pretty good, bounded between the parkways and I-64 is where we thought we'd have the heaviest or the measurable snow.
Oh, yeah.
Some would argue, well, it was south of the parkways, well, by a half a county. So we made that sort of revision last night for the 11 o'clock show. And if you were watching this very stream last night, we said we would be making that revision.
And that's indeed what happened. The model started trending in that direction. We responded to it, and the forecast was pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. Now, we have been watching more snow. You'll notice southern Indiana not in on a whole lot of the snow today, but they are seeing some now, and consequently, we do have a few issues. We can show you what that looks like. In fact, they put cameras on their snowplows, so that makes it nice.
Yeah, check this out. So we can actually query these individual roads. This is up, this is going to be north and west of Galena, Indiana, there in Floyd County. And you can see there's a little bit of snow on the road up there on Indiana 335. Another snowplow camera we have. Looks like it's just along I-65 there. That's going to be a little closer to just north of Sellersburg. And you can see road looks okay. There may be just a little snow sticking to that. And that's US 31, believe it or not I-65. If we go to I-65 itself, and this is closer to Memphis, Indiana, you'll see that road doing pretty well. Again, these are the live snowplow cameras.
I love that.
Which is the coolest thing ever, by the way. Kudos to the state of Indiana.
Ooh, that looks like a
doing that.
Mess.
Yeah, that's Indiana 250. That is going to be up a little closer to Scott County, Indiana there. And apologies, it is really hard to read this, but we're just trying to query these as we can. This is closer to Madison, Indiana. This is going to be on Indiana 62. And
it still looks slick.
Clearly see snow on the road there. So temperatures are right around freezing. Pavement temperatures are just above freezing, but that snowfall rate is enough that it can still be an issue. We're a little closer to North Vernon here.
Oh, my goodness.
Indiana, that's State Road 7.
That's not pleasant to drive on.
No.
So that is, something that is happening now where we are coating the roads in southern Indiana. So we can jump back to the maps and point out that most of those folks are still under the winter weather advisory until 11 o'clock. So you've been covered in that advisory through that time. Rolling as far as the data is concerned, our temperature in Louisville, 35, but just up the road, Salem is down to 30. So no wonder we're seeing some problems. Anytime you get upper 20s, right around 30 degrees, depending on the rate of the precipitation, you're going to have a few problems. And that's what we're seeing across parts, not all, but parts of southern Indiana. So when we look at that radar, you can clearly see that we do have the snow falling up there. Here in Louisville, it's mainly a rain mix, if not just rain. But we have had some ice, pieces in there. And with that, southern Indiana is certainly in the snow zone at this point.
What's been happening is the air at the mid and low levels of the atmosphere has been slowly warming. So while the surface temperature here hasn't warmed much, the air above our heads is starting to warm. A nose of warm air pushing into southern Indiana is why we converted over from snow to rain here in Louisville within the last 3 hours or so. But it hasn't reached southern Indiana. So that's why we still have some of those road problems from Scott to Clark to Washington to Floyd County, and even up toward areas just south of North Vernon. Pretty good little snow there near Oregon Springs, and then once again south of Paoli, wherever you see those darker blues, that indicates where we've got a decent little snowfall.
I mean, you look across southern parts of Orange County, pretty good blast. That's moving towards southeast, and then over near Borden, seeing a pretty good little burst of snow too. So quick coating certainly possible there. We may be adding to the snowboards in some of those locales. Some of your comments coming on. We can take those as we zoom out on the radar. I'll give you a nationwide view. The most active weather in the country is the system that's passing the Ohio Valley. Stretches all the way down from Texas all the way into the Northeast. Going to be a problem for some.
Amy says, hope we get some snow later next week. It is possible. Carrie says, hello, Southeast Township, Orange County. That's where I'm located on YouTube. Thank you, Carrie, for watching there in Orange County, Indiana. And then we got Jason from Cloverport. Stephanie says it was a rough morning in Bardstown.
Yes. Many ways rough. I knew so many of the people, they announced Mr. Titchener, who passed in the car accident there. Awful. I knew so many of his friends. He was just a few years younger than me. So, that was rough. That stretch there, which was near Potter Shop Road and Springfield Road, not far from the McDonald's, between McDonald's and Walmart, if you're familiar with Nelson County. That would have been the stretch of road. A little curve to it, but boy, you get it slick, and it's just that's just a rough deal. And there were a number of accidents down there, in fact. So thinking of all the folks down in Bardstown that especially knew Brent. So,
Yeah, and along those same lines in Nelson County there, Lisa's asking about the Rolling Fork in New Haven. Could that be a problem flooding-wise at some point? I think so.
Yeah, I know.
Again,
I grew up along the banks of it, as you know, Lisa, in New Haven there. So that will be on the rise, mainly not because of the snow we're seeing today. Of course, this melts, and that only adds a little water to the tributaries. But we have more rain coming in tomorrow. That, too, should be fairly light. We can handle that. It's what's going to come in for the weekend, and then what happens next week will tell the story. But I have a feeling that the weekend will help push it over the edge. We all know the Rolling Fork is a little finicky, and boom, it certainly is quick to rise, especially down in the Boston area, but also over into New Haven, especially some of the croplands.
We call that a flashy river, where it flashes, meaning like flash flooding. It's real fast. It rises and falls quickly just because it is such a small river, so it doesn't take much water to attenuate or change that water level there. So the smaller flashy rivers like the Salt River, the Rolling Fork, Beargrass Creek here in Louisville, all of those kind of lumped into the same category here of places that we need to watch late this week, early next week, as the rain starts to stack up here.
Yeah, Judy's asking, what about Saturday? We're going to get to that. And then Amy says, hoping we get more snow later next week. And we're going to get to that, too. So we've got a lot to roll through. Let's go through the data for tonight and tomorrow. We see this light mixed bag of precip across the 34 counties. We have sort of fade into the overnight, so it will eventually ease and go away. Temperatures probably going to be flirting with freezing for most of us through the early overnight hours and early tomorrow morning. And then by afternoon, we'll push into the upper 30s, low 40s. And with that, we see that surge of moisture come back into the area, but it will be rain.
And the rain is going to be welcome. That'll melt the snow. And thankfully, with temperatures already up to 51 degrees by 2:30 in the afternoon in Columbia, that will take that snow out pretty quickly. This is not going to be a super heavy rain. You notice the breaks that we'll have at times here, like at 6 p.m. And then there's this final round of rain that moves through kind of closer to where this front's going to be right here at 11 p.m. That will be pretty steady and consistent. Again, all temperatures above freezing. We did have a flurry chance for Thursday morning. I've taken most of that out. out. Not enough moisture for that. Total rainfall for Wednesday would be about a half inch in southern Kentucky, quarter inch here in Louisville and in southern Indiana. This is not the big event tomorrow.
And, because of the rain that we have had, the soggy ground that is in place, the saturation sort of flex point, even a half an inch of rain could cause some issues. You'll notice the flood watch there. This is the map that will expand likely as we roll through the weekend coming up because of what's coming our way in terms of the rain. You can see the rain chances tomorrow coming in at 30% through the early morning hours. And then rolling into the afternoon and evening, we see the higher chances. So, for instance, if you're headed out to the farm machinery show, the big tractor pool tomorrow, just know you may need the rain gear. We certainly see those temperatures that are going to be above freezing, but with that will come the rain that we expect to kick in across the area. And as Ryan mentioned, a couple of waves of that pushing through. So that's a quick peek to the rain chances that we have in the forecast for your Wednesday.
So Wednesday is a wet day, Thursday not so wet, Friday not so wet. We head towards Saturday, and that is when we start to key in on some bigger rainfall, maybe some stronger storms, especially in our southern communities of Kentucky. That's our next alert day. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, snowing like crazy. DJ King Walter Myers says, hey, snowing like crazy in southern Jennings County right now. And, of course, you can see that on the radar. In fact, we can zoom into it. When you go into Jennings County, you'll notice just south of North Vernon, see that darker blue that just went through there. Boom, right there. That's a impressive burst of snow moving through. Down in Rhineyville, cold rain. Of course, that's way south. That's down closer to Hardin County. We'll zoom into that. You go just north of Elizabethtown. You can see Radcliffe there, Longview, going down to Rhineyville. Just a cold rain that's passed by there. A little bit of dry time right now, which is good news. Go back to our home view. I'll leave the radar up while we take just a few more of these questions from some of our viewers.
Amy's got a question here. No icy roads in the morning, right? Yeah, I had my neighbor actually text me about that today. Is all this water in my driveway going to freeze overnight? And the answer is thankfully no.
They're worried about getting out of the driveway?
Right, yeah, no. But barely, yeah. We'll be real close to freezing, but we should be just above that. And here's the thing. The temperature may actually rise a couple of degrees before you wake up early tomorrow morning. So we'll bottom out around, say, 4 or 5 a.m. And then by 7, 8 a.m., I think we'll be, 34, 35 is going to be pretty common around here. So it will stay as water.
Yeah. Good news there. In fact, temperatures may go up a couple of degrees, especially through the early morning hours there. That helps out. And with 33, 34 degrees, even 32 treated pavement, not a problem.
32 and treated. Okay.
It really is when you get into the upper 20s, and especially on the untreated side of things where you have to really worry. And that's what we've seen, at least in parts of southern Indiana. Any other questions that we have here that we haven't taken a look at? A lot of folks asking about Saturday.
And then the next snow chance as well for those.
Snow, right? Yeah, the weather lovers. Boy, the winter weather this year for the snow lovers, like 2 thumbs up. This is what we're talking about. Give us another one next year, right?
Don't get used to it.
Listen, I'm kind of on your side. I never thought I'd admit this, but why not, right? Like today, I woke up, I thought, I'm going to go outside. Somebody was asking earlier if we built a snowman. Well, first of all, I had to clear a place out for the dog earlier today. So I was like, I'm just going to make a little snowman and roll it and see if it'll collect the snow. Collected every piece of it. It was so great. Sticky, it was the best wet snow. I had a big old snowball mounted up in a nice little patch of grass. I was like, there you go. And then I get to work, and Brian has made a snowman outside. Of course he had.
And it took him like 5 minutes. I was like, you're done already? He's like, yeah. And then he said, I forgot my gloves.
Yeah, you didn't even really need the gloves.
Yeah, I was like,
it's the best snow ever.
Your hand's not falling off from being so cold.
Lisa's like, bots, bring on the snow. Why not? I think that's great. I hope we get a big thumping of snow next week. Wouldn't that be fun?
All the parents are like, oh my gosh, more snow days.
Not Karen. She's like, bring it on.
Yeah.
That's what we say. right?
It's not snow, it's the flu getting the kids out of school lately. I'll tell you what.
All right, here's James. What do you think about river levels going into next week? Well, no doubt they're going up.
Yep.
I mean, we've got Saturday's rain chance. I'm going to show you some of those totals. In fact, let's just jump to that. So I'm going to take a quick break here so we can reset our graphics. It'll take just about 1 minute, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to talk about the river levels and, more importantly, the rain totals that we expect through the weekend, because that's our next big rainmaker that moves in. And in fact, it's our next alert day. We could see some strong storms. We're going from the 50s to the 20s for daytime highs Saturday to Sunday. So we'll talk about that coming up in just a second. Give us 1 minute and we'll be right back. We are back with you here, and with a cloudy sky and precip falling in Louisville, mainly as rain. We do have snow to our north. If you're just jumping into the stream, we said we're going to sort of transition out of where we are now and talking about the snow that's in southern Indiana. We may loop back to that in a second, but we've got about 8 minutes left here, and I wanted to get into the weekend because we do have another alert day. There's no applause with that. There's no sound effects with that, like just a, like, yes.
I think I hear deafening silence from our viewers on another alert.
This is what happens when you run on a lack of sleep, right?
I see what's going on here. Yes.
Slap happy.
Yes, yes. But
I think where we're at.
A lot of folks are tired of the active up and down of the weather here, right? There's so much up and there's so much down coming our way. This is the up part where we get that temperature high enough to give us the potential for some strong.
Well, remember what happened the last time we went up? We hit a record high.
73 degrees. It was 1 degree off of that record, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It was amazingly warm.
It was 1 degree off. That's right. It was 1 degree. Was the record.
Yeah, 74 was the record. We hit 73. That was like 2 Tuesdays ago, something like that.
I feel like it was just last Wednesday.
Was it?
I don't even know.
I think he's right, by the way.
I think it was just last week.
It feels like it was a month ago, but yes, I think it was a month ago or a week ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yes, I think you're correct. I think it was a week ago.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Brian was on vacation.
He was. Yeah, that's right. Week. So, yeah.
Now, see what I'm saying?
It all
is
going
jams up. And by the way, it's like 99 degrees in this room. We're like in a sauna. If we fade before your very eyes, it's because it's hot in here.
And then someone please call the newsroom and say, hey, the weather guys have passed out in the Wave Now studio, please.
Did you turn the air on or the heat on?
I turned the air on. It's on auto.
Can you feel it? No, I can't. I actually feel heat.
All right, I am going to go fix this. I'm going to give Kevin here just a second. Let's see if we can fix this better.
I'm like, I feel heat pouring out of that thing.
Too hot.
It is really hot in here. The other day we walked in here and it was like 50 degrees. So working the air in this building is not the easiest. All right, we wanted to talk about Saturday. This actually is important, and I know we're joking and just sort of being lighthearted here. The fact is we have these big swings that have been going on up and down. Saturday, we're not going to be flirting with record highs, but we will be in the 50s on Saturday. And that's fairly warm compared to where we've been. And it's really where we're going after that that's the big change. So we go from mid-50s, which that's not all that outrageous and obnoxious.
No, it's not awful.
But bringing in the intense cold air behind it is a big transition.
And that's where you start to encounter a lot of active weather along the interface of that, hence the cold front, right? So strong storms, heavy rain, gusty winds. A lot of people already asking, where's this severe weather going to be? And the greatest chances across the Gulf Coast states and Tennessee Valley.
No question. Yeah, south.
That's a lock. But our version of this may be the very southern tier of our counties. And depending on the instability or lack thereof, we may not see a whole lot of it. So that's why our wording today has really started to shift toward heavy rain and flooding concerns, which I really think are going to be a problem on the Commonwealth side of the river.
Well, and that's the whole point. The fact is the alert day doesn't always mean tornadoes, right? I mean, today was an alert day because of the snow. Was it that impactful? No. But did it cancel schools? Yes. Were some roads slick? Yes. Are they right now? Yes. So the fact is the alert day is just meant to be a sort of waving flag to say, yoo-hoo, pay attention. In this busy world, this might be a day you need to pay attention to. And that's what Saturday is. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get severe weather. It means there's going to be the potential for severe weather. It's most likely south of us. But depending on how this system continues to develop and we track it as it gets a little closer to us by the first part of the weekend, heavy rain certainly looks to be a bet. And boy, that can cause some problems for areas along, especially like we've been talking about, the rolling fork. So you can see some of that heavy rain sort of arcing right up in here. And then, of course, snow on the backside of this system.
And it wouldn't be a ton of snow because usually these rain to snow scenarios on the backside of a front don't have a lot of moisture associated with them. But snow showers are a possibility on Sunday for us here. That's not the main event, though. The rain's going to be the big problem. And Kevin, these rainfall totals are pretty impressive here. If you kind of compare the legend up there, you've got 2 to 4 inch totals with some of those oranges sticking out, which would be 4 or more inches of rain. Now, where this is, where the heaviest rainfall totals are, may shift by as much as like 10 counties or so over the coming days. So this isn't super specific yet. That's why I don't have it zoomed into the county view. But you get the idea. It's enough rain to add a lot of water to our river basins here, and we just don't need that. There is the potential, of course, for that rainfall to create some river flooding, even on the Ohio River. I was looking at some data today, Kevin, and it looks like the Ohio River upper gauge over about the next 10 days has a pretty fair shot of going into potentially minor flood category. And of course, those smaller rivers in Kentucky, especially the Kentucky River, by the way, I was looking at that one, they may get in some trouble down that way.
Yeah, we'll see how that sort of rolls out. Hydrology is a weird thing, too, because it really depends on snow melt from the northeast. Yep. And a lot of other things go into the river forecast than what you might realize in terms of what weather is happening just here locally. Some of you saying, well, that's the drawback to being next to the river. Boy, you're right on that. Some folks saying about the predicted lows tied to the polar vortex. Well, the good news is that, remember back in January, we were under the influence of the polar vortex. We had looped around the cold air on the backside of this. Clearly today we did not. No. So this is not associated with the polar vortex.
Right. Later in the month, though, there are some signs it could get super cold, and that might harken back to January a bit. We'll see how cold that gets. Oftentimes, we see a big burst of cold in the long-range modeling, and it gets a little less intense as we get closer to it.
We love our viewers from wherever you are, and here's Edward in St. Louis. One thing in common with Louisville, rapidly changing weather.
Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully you watch my buddy Steve Templeton over there, KMOV.
Channel 4.
He's another Purdue grad there. Carrie's asking, who's in charge of calling it an alert day? Well, that's interesting. Whoever's working, really, we have criteria, and we discuss the alert days. If we're thinking about flagging an alert day, we really like to get as many minds on it as possible, especially if it's far in advance, because those are not the easy ones to do. I mean, listen, if we just threw out an alert day on every day, then we thought it would stick, most of them would fade away and be like, oh, look, I was wrong again. And then you lose, it's like crying wolf. You lose the trust. Fact is, we're very accurate on our alert days, and we're proud of that. And consequently, we don't take it light when we declare one, even if it's far in advance. So there's really two rules of two rules of thought that go into the alert days. First of all, we know that you, as a viewer, want the earliest alert possible. Our research tells us that. We ask people, what do you want to know? Yes. And the fact is, most people, if it changes, understand that the weather changes, especially if you're 5, 7, 8 days out. They realize, okay, well, that may change. We still do it very cautiously on flagging long-term alert days. That's why you don't see them very often. But when we have long-range models in agreement, we start to build confidence. just like we did with this storm last week and the severe weather last week, the week prior, sure, we'll put them out as far in advance as where we're confident.
And we keep track of these alert days with a spreadsheet. So we know when we've declared them. Oh, you love spreadsheets. It's literally a spreadsheet that goes all the way back to January 2019. So we know every single alert day we've declared. We know if there were warnings or not. We know what kind of weather happened. That way we can see where we messed up, where we can do better, where we may need to declare.
We don't mess up.
Where we may need to declare more potentially because, there was a setup that we didn't think needed it, but it needed it. So we're always evaluating our past performance.
I thought it was only the Weather Service that messed up.
Ooh.
I'm teasing. Ooh. Oh, I'm teasing, see?
This is a very thinly veiled commentary on something that happened in the weather community this week that we can't discuss.
Listen, here's the thing. We don't bash the Weather Service around here. We work hand in hand with them.
This was in jest what he was saying.
It drives me bananas.
Yes.
I don't think anybody should get on and hammer somebody else's work, by the way.
No.
If you don't agree with it, just move on. It's easy.
Words of Sweet Brown. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, this is kind of a system here, this snow shower deal for Sunday that isn't a big deal, but next week's snow chance heading into like mid next week, that's when it gets to be a little bit bigger of a deal.
Yeah, so the snow showers, just to wrap up the weekend, the heavy rain on Saturday ends with that push of colder air. We go from 55 a high Saturday into the 20s, mid-20s for a high on Sunday. So we get the few snow showers there. And then, we'll see how this works out. Today's what, Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
So by Thursday, we'll be looking at seeing how this confidence is for the potential for snow across the area mid next week. This is a week away, more than a week away now, but more than 2 of the long range models peg it in here as a big snow mid next week.
Yeah, and that's why this could be our next alert day that we declare here. We've been doing pretty well with these longer range alert days over the last 2 or 3 months. So if you see an alert day in the long range, keep an eye on it because lately we've been batting pretty good batting average on that.
Yeah, we don't even like to be right anymore.
No,
it's like,
we got January 5th right. We got that next Friday after that when we had another snowstorm. We had that
like a week in advance on all of this.
On all of that. And then today, and then of course the severe weather last week, and then of course this snow chance mid next week may very well be something that falls into that category. So that not only owes to us, kind of having the patience to work with alert days long in advance, but also the data this year has actually been pretty good. I've been really impressed with the long range modeling. It still has its faults. It's still crazy sometimes. It's still way whack off, but it's been decent compared to what, I've seen, in my over 15 years of working with weather data here. And snow is literally the worst thing we can forecast aside from ice, really, because it's just so difficult. Not only do you have the placement of the heaviest precipitation to worry about, but you also have the temperature profile to worry about. So it's like a 1-2 punch.
Breaking news.
Oh, the winter weather advisory has been canceled for Louisville.
There you go. That just happened within the last 10 seconds.
All right. Well, good. That's good to see. And they kept it for areas north of Louisville. We showed you those snowplow cameras in Indiana earlier where they're still having some trouble up there.
Yeah, temperatures are flirting with freezing, if not just below places like Salem. So you can see why. I mean, our precip is back to mainly rain, but to the north, we do have some snow still falling. So consequently, a few problems up that way. I just wanted to throw that up there. I know we were looking at last week and talking about being a week out and hopefully being able to get, if it's going to be an alert day out by Thursday, that way you have enough time to plan. And if we have to retract it, then at least you understand why. We don't like to do that, by the way. We like to be a little more confident. So we'll see how the data plays out over the next few days.
I want to show you real quick. This is the live snowplow camera, Indiana 60, just south and east of Salem. So we were talking about that winter weather advisory there. That's why you can see that plow is having to go through snow-covered roads and get that kind of mopped up for us there.
Now, see, no one knew we were sitting quite so close.
Because we can see
there we are.
Hi. Whoops. Yeah, this 3-box here is a little wide, isn't it? We don't use this box very often that you see here. Oh, that's weird. Look at my hand. That's kind of cool. All right, I'm going to stop that now.
Why not? I mean, listen, what else you all have to do? It's Tuesday night. It's 9:04. Just watch two weather geeks in here talking about snow a week away, right?
It's our job. We literally do that for fun and for work.
It is kind of fun. All right, I'm going to put up the 10-day, and then we're going to wrap it up. There won't be a whole lot to really tackle tonight besides really seeing how the snow is unfolding across southern Indiana and really looking at the data for that rain over the weekend. You could see the heaviest rain again Saturday. Oh, I guess we should mention Valentine's Day. That's important. So Friday is Valentine's Day. Maybe you're headed out on Friday. 40-degree high temperature. That comes back into the 30s through the evening hours. So no big problems for Valentine's Day there. So if that's where your plans may take you out and about, enjoy Valentine's Day. Should be okay. It's one of the few dry days we have, or drier days we have in the 10-day forecast.
It's kind of lucky, isn't it?
Yeah, and Monday, which is a holiday for many, is too. So that's a pretty decent day. Unfortunately, it's bounded by active weather both through the weekend and then again mid next week.
Look at those lows in the teens.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah, that's ugly.
Several times too. It's like it just keeps getting dug in. It's like the cat that would not leave the porch. You know, like it might go for a night and then boom, it's back. And it's like,
And then you can't get rid of it till April at this rate. I should mention, you see these snow chances, snow showers possible Sunday, not a huge deal there. But this Wednesday, Thursday deal next week we talked about, we were looking at some of the data, what's called ensemble data. It's all the different types of runs of a single computer model, all kind of sandwiched together. So like 50 different runs of a single computer model with all sorts of different things in them. And at one point, the European ensemble data today, every single of those 50 runs had snow next week, accumulating snow.
That's rare to see that many in agreement.
Brian showed it to me. I looked at his computer screen. I said, surely that's not right. And sure enough, you look at it, it was correct. So it's going to be hard to get out of next week without some sort of snow potential around here. Yes, things can change, but man, it's kind of a pattern we're in. So once you get stuck in a pattern like that, hard to get out of it. And welcome to the winter that we've had so far, right?
Right. Kathy's saying, or Karen, excuse me, saying, thank you guys for the update. Great job. Oh, Sam Condra's saying, wave umbrella, 2 inches of snow guess. The snow guess contest. Maybe we should bring it back.
Please.
Maybe we should go old school like John used to do and have people call in.
Who's manning the phone?
Well, we've got a phone here somewhere, don't we? Does this thing even work?
It should. Did we pay the phone bill?
No dial tone.
Oh, no dial tone.
It comes with instructions. The thing is, might have been the old phone we used to answer for Belsky's.
We have an internet phone like system in the building now. Like no more classic phone. There's still phones and you can still dial, but like it's all internet based now. So half of us in the building are still trying to figure out after 2 years of this how to use the phone, and it's been really tough. That's a
maybe
Cat 5e Ethernet cable.
Maybe we found the problem.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. This is not the typical place where we are. We only do these broadcasts in here, but the news department typically kind of lives in here, Myra Ansari, most of the day. So they've got stuff set up for what they do.
Her.
And she's also in our studio, our main studio too.
Oh, the background
that did change. Oh,
just noticed that. We were trying to get that to change for about 10
This equipment sometimes likes to be temperamental.
It's interesting.
I know, right?
All right, we got to wrap it up. It's 10 after. We appreciate everybody jumping in. Amanda says, I missed the Belsky contest. Maybe we'll get him back. Wouldn't that be fun? Maybe we have him on and we'll give something away. He can do like a Belsky's bluff.
Sure.
Everybody.
Yes.
That'd be fun.
It's a 90s throwback. I love this.
Throwback
awesome.
90s.
Heck yeah.
Remember the 90s kids?
See, my parents wouldn't let me call back then.
Why?
I was like 9.
Well, but I mean...
Millennials don't like to use the phone.
They wanted to text.
Ask your friends who are between 25 and 35 if they like to pick up the phone. And
well, I can tell.
I've
got a niece and a couple of nephews that fall close to that range.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't like text either. It seems.
Okay, we text at least. At least there's that. We'll always text you back.
It may be a few days later, like, oh yeah, I got that now. Like, oh.
You've been sitting on red, as they say. I've read your message, but not responded.
Don't you hate that? I wish it didn't even show it, because then you just sit there and you're like, come on.
That's why some people turn off their read receipts, though, so that they don't send that to the other person.
Right.
So they control what.
Do you know how fast I text back? Like I'm
pretty fast.
Yeah.
Unless you're asleep. And that's the same with me too.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes shut my phone down if I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I don't even do that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to hear it always. But, if you set the emergency context, like the text I don't hear, but a phone call will wake me up as it goes through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you really need me, call me.
Like, if you need me, call me. Sorry. He was singing lyrics over there.
You can't sing or dance. That's true. That is true. You know that. Please. You know that.
He's right. Okay.
I can't either. I'm not saying that I'm better at that. I'm not at all. In fact, Dawn teases me relentlessly. We've been to a number of events.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, let's dance. I'm like, no, Dawn. I don't dance. No. I have 2 left feet. She's like, no, come on. And then I do it thinking, okay, I've built up a little bit of courage. And then she's like, oh my God, you cannot dance. You're terrible.
See, thankfully, you learned that before the advent of cell phone video. I learned that after. So she was posting videos of me at the making strides against breast cancer, dancing, doing my little jig over here, and it looks pretty bad.
Which is how I know you can't dance either.
See?
All right. Before we go, Grim Graves is asking: is Saturday a tornado day?
Probably not. We can't say for sure, but probably not.
Yeah, I mean, temperatures in the 50s. Listen, temperatures aren't always the rule on this, but you do have to have the instability, and that typically comes with warmer temperatures. The bottom line is a lot of this is going to get robbed from severe weather to the south because it's almost a sort of target for the Gulf Coast states.
We just have to watch where that low pressure track goes.
That'll be the key.
If that goes a little closer to like Indianapolis, then I'm going to get a little...
Well, then we would be much warmer than 55.
Exactly. And then we would have the severe weather potential. So that's not locked in yet. But right now it looks like we would be okay.
Yeah. Patty just says you guys are having too much fun tonight. Well, we tried to.
Viewer count ticking down by the minute here.
Yeah, they're like, I'm going to bed. All right, we'll let you go. It's 9:12. We will see you at 11 o'clock. And then Brian will be back on here tomorrow morning. So jump on with him and give him a hard time. Right? Why not? Right?
Why not?
Wouldn't that be funny? We should play a prank on him. I love to play pranks.
I need to get a fake Facebook profile and start commenting on there.
Don't.
And then he would see it.
Well, let's just have other people do it. Like we should have all the thousands of people that are watching now. They could just we could come up with an idea of how to prank him.
We need to figure out how to make that phone ring in here.
Yeah, that would be fun.
He'd be like, hello? This phone's never rang before.
Right. Answer the phone. Who is it? Yeah. All right. We'll come up. We'll come up with something. Joseph wants to know, is March going to be warm?
We'll see.
Right now, the temperatures tank. I mean, through February, we are super cold. So I'm going to bet we start March cold and then we'll warm it back maybe to normal. But even a swing the important part is even a swing like that to go from cold to normal is a big swing, which means severe weather. So I think we're going to have a decent opportunity for severe weather in March.
It's going to be hard to escape both snow and severe weather in the next 6 to 8 weeks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
That's where we are in this. All right. We will say goodbye for now. We'll see you on Wave News at 11. Thanks for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night, everybody.